Welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. Today is September 7th, 2017. The Democratic Party finally is starting to get its act together. Renho, their former chairperson, resigned maybe 4 weeks ago, and they went through an election and have now selected their new leader, Michael Cucek.
I would not actually characterize it as getting their things together, especially how the events have turned out since the election. But let's talk about the election first off. There are two candidates, Yukio Edano, and Seiji Maehara. Now, Seiji Maehara represents what is the conservative or right-wing side of the party, which basically, in the case of the DP, means they are for talking about constitutional revision, talking about building up Japan's military, but otherwise there's no other kind of right-wing.
Try and resemble the LDP a little bit more than they have in the past, rather than be a fighter.
But more of a strong military and close to the United States side of the party. And there is the other side of the party, which is many of the members have roots in the old Socialist Party, which is skeptical of the alliance and very skeptical of military power in general. And Yukio Edano didn't really represent that side of the party, the leftist side, but nevertheless became their champion. And in previous contests, the rightists have always lost. They've always been taken over by the center-left. And since the party has purported to be a center-left party in its presentation, that made sense. Because if you provide yourself and purport to be a center-right party, everyone says, wait, we've already got one, the LDP, and they're in power. Why do we have to elect you? But with the Renho failure, for various reasons, that the center-left lost the capacity to motivate the party, and Maehara, in an extraordinary internal party meeting, and that doesn't mean it was really interesting, it means it wasn't scheduled, was elected the new party leader.
Why are we talking about this on Tokyo on Fire? Why is a discussion of the Democratic Party essential to understanding what's going on in Japanese politics now? It is the #1 opposition party, but when you say that, the words make it sound bigger than it actually is.
That's right. The numbers of people who support it are very low, and the number of members of the Diet that it has are relatively insignificant, and indeed, in terms of passing legislation, are insignificant. They can wave their hands up in the air and scream, run for the microphone, but otherwise they can't stop anything.
And every time it seems as if they're getting their act together, as you mentioned, they just stumble, either through infighting or bad choice selection.
Or bad timing, or whatever it is we've had as a recurring theme. Now they're going to get going.
Yeah, and our heart doesn't... I mean, our hearts go out to them. We want them to be successful. We want them to be cohesive. We want them to provide a true opposition backing.
Yeah, and that's part of our belief, and possibly because we're Americans, that it's out of competition and fair and free and fair competition that the better ideas survive and the bad ideas get pushed out. We have a certain faith in that. But if there's one side that is overwhelmingly powerful and the other side can only just scream in vain, the likelihood that powerful party will engage itself in self-dealing, such as Mr. Abe's LDP has been accused of, seems very natural to us. So we want to have a good, strong DP, not because we're necessarily attached to their political program, but just as a general something to compete with the LDP.
On the first day after being elected president of the Democratic Party, he selects his Secretary General, and once again...
And the Secretariat, the entire Secretariat for the party, yeah.
Right. And it stumbles again.
That's the weird thing. The choice that he made for Secretary General of the party, when I heard it, my heart seized up. I said, no, he couldn't have. And the person he chose is a second-term legislator, Yamao Shiori, who is, yes, a woman, and therefore it's really nice because we had a woman leader and a male #2. Now we have a male leader. We should have a woman #2. it shows that we are as committed to
a lot of calculations going into
we
the
are as
selection.
committed to empowering women just the way Mr. Abe is, but in a more realistic way. Look at the secretariat of the new secretariat of the LDP. It's all old guys in gray suits.
And they didn't want to be that. They wanted to be for the new Japan, for the younger people.
And that's right. And that was that choice. But she had not been a very good policy chief, Seicho Kaicho. They give it a strange name. They don't call it the Policy Research Council like the LDP does, but that's what her job was, head of the Policy Research Council. It didn't put out any good ideas under the Ren Ho administration. And for her, really just barely an incumbent legislator, I mean, she's only got 2 elections to the diet, for her to be put in charge of the party apparatus, this neophyte, was astonishing, especially since she was already a source of a magnet for criticism and a magnet for sniping, not only because she's a woman in the era of the internet, but because she personally went after Abe in a very personal way. She's been the target of tremendous right-wing agitation from the Neto Uyoku, as they're called. To put her in charge was just asking for trouble.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they would have done the backroom politics even before he had said something in front of the mic. I mean, she is one of several people that have been selected within a group. I mean, Maehara is not the only person that's making this decision. But within 24 hours, she's out and somebody else is in.
That's because it became untenable. The internal dynamics of the party, the people who cast their votes for Maehara, all turned against him and said, "How could you pick her? She's from the left side of the spectrum. She's a newcomer. She has no connections. She's going to attract trouble."
Right.
And we will discuss that indeed there has been a phase 2 of this story, but she's just kryptonite for the party.
But doesn't your palm just go back to your forehead when they do this again, and you go, "Gosh, you guys, can't you get your act together?" Right?
Yeah, but that is something actually I expected from Maehara Seiji. Maehara is famous for having to resign as leader of the DPJ back in the day because he was fooled by a fake email.
That's right.
And he went down in flames. He just insisting that this obviously fraudulent, "Hi, I'm Takebe. I want you to collude with me in an electoral scheme, Mr. Horie. Please help me." Yeah,
this was after he had been foreign minister, though, right?
No, this is before the switchover. This was back in the first Abe administration. No, but this is back during the Koizumi administration when Takebe was the Secretary General. Maehara got from
a secret source.
No, it's not. A secret source gave a really disturbed member of the DPJ. He later took his own life. Got this, and he started making a big deal about what he thought was a real email. And then Maehara went on with it and did not listen to the people around him saying, "It's a fake, don't get caught in this." And
It was too juicy.
It was too juicy, and he crashed and burned on that. That he, in his first day, out of hubris, out of stupidity, picks someone who is clearly wrong. As I said, my reaction was visceral. I was overjoyed when Ren Ho was chosen. And it turned out she had problems with her immigration status, but and her nationality status, but Yamao has been sending out signals that she's problematic all over the place.
Okay, and now we've had a new revelation.
And now she was replaced based on the reaction of the party. But if you pick up today's newspaper and look at the ads for this week's Shukan Bunshun, it says, "Here's the article that got her removed from power."
That's on sale today, isn't it?
It's on sale today, and it says, and it's all about extramarital affairs.
Right.
That at least one of them, maybe more, that she is one person said, "Oh, she's boy crazy."
Okay, well, that's probably
okay,
the only parliamentarian like that.
No, but then true, but the fact that she is a woman, that there seems to be a double standard as regards infidelity. She's married. The person with whom she is supposedly having an affair is also married, but there seems to be a double standard there. Somehow male politicians are able to continue on.
Right.
But the scandal mags came out. So maybe that had something to do, knowledge of that kind of weakness had something to do with the visceral reaction that came over the weekend to her nomination. So he nominates the person who ran his political campaign in getting elected head of the party, Mr. Oshima.
6 times elected. He's a very seasoned politician.
Seasoned politician, fills the bill, but now we have a secretariat for the DP that looks exactly like the secretariat for the LDP, all old guys.
Right.
Which is exactly what he was trying to avoid, but he picked the absolutely wrong person. Now, women in the DP are all lightning rods. That's the word I've been looking for. Renho, Tsujimoto, they all attract the most visceral and disgusting commentary from the self-appointed right-wing commentariat. So no matter how the DP tries to put women into positions of power, they're going to have trouble. But again, there was more to that, I think, in the Yomao
Why
mistake.
is this important right now that we're discussing this? We've got several elections coming up, and it seems as if there might be a possibility for a snap election. They need to get their act together real quick.
We actually need to have an episode entirely about the snap election, and maybe we'll discuss it later. But yeah, there is on the 22nd of October, 3 seats are open in the House of Representatives that need to be filled, and there's going to be a by-election on that date, and so the DP has to be ready. But now, the Maehara administration starts off and stumbles right over the first hurdle. And so we're back to reconstruction mode.
But we also have another party, Japan First, that's grown out of Tokyo First, the coalition that was initiated by Governor of Tokyo Koike, which she basically cleaned house in the election about a month and a half ago.
That's right, in the Tokyo the Tokyo Metropolitan Assembly elections. That's right. The Tokyo First, and interestingly, of course, it has attracted a lot of defectors from the Democratic Party who were from that right wing that eventually, if they had stayed, they would probably be in the secretariat now of the DP because their champion, Maehara, got elected. So you look at people like Akishina or Hosono Goshi, and you guys had Nagashima and Hosono. And you say, perfect timing, guys. You leave the party just when your side takes over. Good luck with Japan First, which is a movement. But, okay, so it took over the Tokyo Assembly. And traditionally, these regionalist parties do well for at least one House of Representatives. One House of Representatives cycle. And then they fall to pieces. That's what happened with the Renovation Party coming out of Osaka.
That's right.
The movement that controls Nagoya, the low taxes movement there, has never busted out at all. These regional parties, yes, they managed to hold on to certain parts of the country, and preventing an actual national opposition party from actually emerging, because these main urban centers are now controlled by these smaller regional parties, but they don't have a national message that people want to hear. And in fact, when you listen to the kinds of things that Wakasa wants, he probably could not, and in fact did not stay in the LDP because his ideas are too hardcore conservative, too hardcore right-wing. And so when the election comes around, this dream of having a center-right and center-left will be again smashed. It will be a center-right party, the LDP, a small lefty party, lefty-righty party in the DP, and then the ultra-right in the Japan First. And let's face it, they are definitely borrowing their name from America First. They're not. They're absolutely upfront about it. And in fact, when Koike was running for was campaigning for the Tokyo Assembly, they all wore green hats with "Make Tokyo Great Again" on it in English. These are folks who attract the wrong side of the spectrum. So that makes the by-elections look funky, and any other kind of elections on a national scale look fraught.
An interesting mix and a dynamic that you should keep your eye on. We're going to watch it too. Stay tuned.